Hi, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I am doing conversations with Susan. So, I've got someone who I've known for actually a very long time. In fact, we were talking before we went live, and we've actually known each other for probably over 10 years and kept in contact, sporadically over the years. And she's someone who has got a unique ability. You know that I'm a medium and a channel and known as a spiritual scientist, and I do galactic channeling, etc. Well, something that Elaine does, and she is Elaine Thorpe, even though what you'll see on the screen on her YouTube is Thomas Thorpe, her name is Elaine.
Oh yeah, I don't change it on there,
But
but I never
she,
really get round to it.
yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that. And she actually channels through a beautiful being called Jonathan. And I've had the pleasure of connecting with Jonathan on many an occasion. And we're actually going to do that today. We're going to have a little conversation and a chat initially, but then we're going to bring Jonathan through. And Elaine steps out of the way. So she's known as a trance medium, and she steps out of the way, so she allows Jonathan to blend with her energy and step in and have his time with us, where we can ask him any questions we would like, and he brings through the wisdom from spirit. And we discussed that we thought what we would talk about today is really about the awakening that we all are continuing to go through, and also anything else that we get guided to talk about. So our healing journey, I'll connect in with my guides as well and decide what the questions are. But I hope you enjoy it, and settle down now, get your glass of water, and enjoy our conversation. So, welcome, Elaine, to my conversations bit of my YouTube channel. I'm excited to talk to you about this because we do go back a long way. But just tell everybody. I think what's a fun thing is to know. Did you wake up at age 1 and say I'm a trance medium, or
Oh
what
no,
happened? That's it, right? People think that that's what we came in with, and of course we did, but what happened? How did tell everybody how you knew you were a trance medium?
well, I know that my father was a physical phenomena medium, and as a young girl of 15, on and off, a few times I sat in his circle, which was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
All genuine, of course. So I was brought into it that way. I
Yeah.
didn't have anything as a child. The only thing I ever felt was when I was in the children's home, I felt someone one morning sit on the end of my bed just upon waking. And shortly after that, I was removed from the home and fostered. And that's when my dad was, my proper dad was with
Mm.
her, and they were into the spiritual side together. And that's how I got brought into it. But
So
later on,
immersed into it, like literally
yeah, that's
immersed into
right.
it.
Yeah.
And do you remember when I used to have my circle, and my children, who are now grown up teenagers, used to come down when I used to teach my mediumship circle, and they would come in their pajamas and they would just sit on the sofa with everybody and fall asleep while we were doing the work. So I
Oh,
think
that's amazing.
when children are part of that world, it just becomes like second nature that we are spirit, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah. And so, I sort of grew up with it, and went into my adulthood, and as you do, got married, had children. And right from my daughter was a baby, I used to take photographs of orbs and things on a
See?
mobile, and I used to
Yeah.
get quite a few. Some of them were dust, but others were actually orbs because
Yeah.
when my daughter was about 5 and 6, I'd take photographs of her, and huge bright orb would be right by her head.
Yeah.
They're
That's
amazing
amazing.
photographs.
Yeah.
So I always was into it then, and as I got to the age of about 35, I started getting into like clairvoyant stuff. I'd give my friend some information, and she'd say, "Oh yes, that's right," because might not have known it about her at the time. And she's passed on now. But I sort of on and off did little bits like that. And then I got my father-in-law, he had passed back in 1995. So it was a long time beforehand. And we always knew that he'd come to visit us in the house, things happened in the house, the radio would turn itself off and that sort of thing. Um, but anyway, I started off going to on a Thursday to a little spiritual church down the road, which is now another type of church now. We
Oh,
used to
that's
have the
interesting. It's
medium
changed.
there.
Has
Yeah,
it changed? Yeah.
it changed into a different sort of religion church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she used
Mm.
to come, the medium used to come there, and I used to sort of sit and watch that and see what sort of messages
Yeah.
we get, and I gradually started getting back into it that way. But then when we went to Ireland one day, when my son was about 15, and I think my daughter must have been about 8, I think. Um, we went over to Ireland and to see my father-in-law's family,
Hmm.
and so on the last night, I missed him, because I always felt a closeness to him. So I got the kids into bed. They had a double bed, and we had a double bed, all in the same room. Lovely hotel. And I said, "Oh," to myself, "Tom, are you here?" Because that was his name too. And nothing happened. I said, "If just send me a sign, everyone's settling down and getting ready to sleep." So I thought, "Oh no, nothing's going to happen. I'll just lay on my tummy as I do and go to sleep." And I was just
Yeah.
resting, sort of half awake, just relaxed, not asleep. And all of a sudden, I felt really sudden. I felt my tummy pull in,
Mm.
and this voice kind of bellowed out of me.
Wow.
And I remember their father said, "Oh, what's the matter with you? You been something?" I said, "I don't know. It just happened." And it was like he was trying to talk to his son, because
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
husband was trying to talk to him. And then with that, the children were woken up, and they were startled by it because they didn't know what it was. I didn't even
Yeah.
know what trance was.
No,
My
sure.
father
Yeah.
never really explained it all to me.
Mm.
So I had no idea. And they woke up, we were trying to fathom out what had happened. And then the baby downstairs was crying for about half an hour after that. And I thought, "Oh no, what is this thing? What's happened?" He's obviously tried to come through it. And I was a
Yeah.
bit startled because I'd never had anything like that happen to me before. So the next day, we packed up, and I thought, "Well, I don't know, I'll ring my mother's friend." It was Jean Kent,
Oh,
who's
wow.
now passed on now.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was a trance medium, but
Look at
yeah,
the synchronicities. It's so
I
weird, isn't
know.
it?
It's
Yeah.
just like the whole path was meant to be led that way, and everything was
Yeah.
like a red carpet laid out. So I called her, and she said, "Oh, didn't your father ever tell you?" I said, "Well, no, he doesn't really tell me much about them sort of things. He just does it for my mum."
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, "Well, it's trance." I said, "Well, what's trance?" And so she explained it to me. And she said, "Well, if you want to develop it, I know a lady named Kay Austin. And so
Okay.
Kay ran a circle over your way, and she'll be able to help you." So she led me to her address. And I called her and I joined the group. Well, anyway, that night she wasn't there. I thought, "Oh no, this is going to be not much fun. It's just meditation I've never done in my life." I didn't like it. I started to get a bit, anxious.
Yeah.
And so I thought, "Well, I won't give up. I want to see that other lady. I'll go back the following week." And it was
Yeah.
literally 10, 15 minutes up the road.
Yeah.
All I had to do was walk up the hill and over the road a bit, and I was there.
Yeah.
I thought, "Wow, this is nice and close, convenient."
Perfect. Mm.
Yeah. So I joined there the following week, and the trance started straight away. It was like this George came through, and I think he'd had a
Mhm.
stroke because he made my face seem like it had had a stroke. And I
Yeah.
thought, "Oh, I don't like this. I feel all stiff and horrible. And is this what it's about? I'm not sure." So, when I came back, I returned to normal, and they said what he'd said. And I can't remember how much time went on, but
Yeah.
each week I sort of went back. And Jonathan didn't actually appear in that group.
No.
He must have been waiting in the wings, but he,
Yeah,
he
probably
appeared there.
waiting until you were ready to accept him, really. Mm,
Yeah. So
mm.
one day, I think it was a few weeks in or a few months in, I went into my neighbour's house and she said, "You do your trance stuff." And she said, "Oh, can I experience it?" I said, "Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if I've only been doing it long enough." Oh, she said, "Oh, odd time you whatever." So I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And I don't know who spoke at the beginning. I have no idea. I cannot remember. So at the end, Jonathan came in and introduced himself. And my whole being, I can't describe it. It's like
Mm,
there was so much love, and
yeah,
my whole being like lit up like some sort of Kundalini awakening or something.
yeah, yeah,
And he said, "I'm Jonathan." I thought, "Oh my goodness, I know you, but I don't know you. And where have
yeah,
you been all my life?" I just thought, wow. And then
yeah.
from then on, he started learning how to speak, and it was a bit kind of, it didn't have much expression to the voice.
Was it kind of disjointed to start with?
It
Was it
wasn't
kind of,
starting.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then over time, he began to put expression into it. It began to become a little more cultured. And
He laughs now, doesn't he? I mean, he
I
comes
know,
through and has a
well,
bit of an old joke with everybody, doesn't he?
it
So,
was
yeah.
funny, quite funny last night because I was doing a Zoom meeting and on going into the trance, my dad was there.
Oh.
He used to always take his false teeth out and go like that on my arm, and I settled down, you know, disgusting. So he he got his false teeth out and he threw them up into the air. They went off somewhere. So
Oh,
Jonathan just burst into laughter from nowhere. I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said,
yeah.
"Oh, Lane's father's, he's making everybody chuckle and laugh."
Maybe the
So,
energy needed shifting, maybe the energy just needed, but I find that with spirit, like if the energy needs
yeah,
raising, they'll come in and do something or say something, right?
yeah, they will. That was so funny. It was but it wasn't me laughing, it was him. He
Mm,
just burst out laughing. So I thought,
yeah.
wow, where did that come from? So they do sporadic things that are just out of the blue, and you think, oh,
So
well, that,
basically it started with your neighbor, and then it started to happen where he would come through, and he's the one you work with, isn't he? So
yes,
so
that's right. Yeah,
from my perspective, like many different beings, I don't do trance like you do, but many beings come in. So there's all sorts of people that come in. Some the galactic, some ascended masters, all of that kind of stuff. But I don't do it like you. So they blend with me and they do get me out of the way a bit these days, and I'm letting them, but not quite how you do it. But you basically have this relationship with him, and what I know and what you've told me before is that you would have had a time with him, or many times with him in different lifetimes, where you would have been, together in these lifetimes. Is that right? Is that right?
yes, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the mostly the Victorian times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a younger girl, I used to hate Victorian things. And then I thought, well, after him, when I saw the horse and carriage, I thought, oh my God, my heart started to
Yeah.
flutter and race, and I thought, oh wow, that looks so surreal. It feels like I'm going back in time. Feels
Yeah.
like I'm with him. He'd be around, and
Yeah.
each time I'd go into London, he kind of give me an excitement across here. It was always here. I felt it.
Yeah, yeah. So sort of like memories and the frequency of blending from the past. Like, well, he'll probably quite like my house then, because I live in a Victorian house. So, I'll have to ask him. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, he would like that,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, he probably would, because it's very traditional. I've kept quite a lot of the traditional bits of it. Um, So, for people that are on my channel pretty much know about mediumship and, who we are as a soul having a human experience. But for those people that don't really understand channeling, there is some bad press about it. And should we just talk a little bit about that? Because I think sometimes people worry that, it's from the dark side or something like that. And I
Oh
think we
no,
just need
not
to.
Darth Vader stuff.
Oh, definitely not. But just, to let people know that somebody doesn't come and take over your body. It's not like a possession, is it? And I think that's really important for people to hear.
Yeah, it's not. I was informed by my guide that you have an aura. Every one of us have that, and we have chakras. He calls them energy centers,
Mm.
but they're chakras that run through our body, which are colourful. And when some of them are more prominent, they light up our auras in aura photography and that sort of thing.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that shows we all have a colourful aura. And then
Mm.
what they do is we tune into our higher consciousness, and then their higher consciousness connects with ours because we allow
Yeah.
it to, and they step into our aura and work with that.
Yeah. So blend with our frequency. So they're not literally, and so if you're listening to this and you think, oh, I wouldn't want to let anyone step in. I was a bit like that. So I was a bit like that. And there was that feeling of many years ago was, oh my goodness, I don't think I'm going to allow spirit to come in. But actually, they are blending with you. So it's like they're not literally stepping into your body or anything. They don't take you over. They're
No,
just
no, no.
blending with, like Elaine saying, your auric field, or you can just think they're blending with your energy, like your radio wave that you're putting out to the world. So um yeah, I'm just thinking about whether we should bring Jonathan in, really, because it might be really good to kind of have an experience of him for people. And then once we've brought him in and we've, had fun with him, sorry, Jonathan, had fun with him, then we can talk about how people, how you work with people, what you do, and how you can work with people if they're interested in working with you. Should we do that? Does
Yeah,
that feel
he's
good?
already here.
I
He's
know,
already
I know.
up.
I get that sense as well. I get that sense that he was kind of like waiting in the wings, and I also get the sense that it's almost like it was orchestrated. Does that make sense to you? Like I feel like there was something about the two of us getting together and you know bringing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they do. They do put things together. It
I
is
know.
amazing
Yeah,
the way they.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So, Elaine, do you want to just say, what people might experience? So you ask him to come in and just before he comes in, because I know he's eager. I can tell he's eager.
well, here he is anyway. So I'll show them who he's talking to. That's Jonathan.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That's him.
Amazing, right? So nice to have a picture of him as well.
Yeah, it is. I think it is nice to have a picture of our guides, all of us. So if you get
Mm,
the opportunity, anyone, to have your guide painted or
mm,
drawn, there is either people who I know, Sandy Ingham.
mm,
Interview her if you wanted to. She's quite a well-known spiritual artist, and she
mm.
works with Leo, her guide.
Yeah,
And there's Emma Mather, Mather. They're
yeah.
both on Facebook, and she does absolutely beautiful drawings of guides. I mean, they're just fabulous, so detailed. And along with
Mm.
Sandy too, they're both two of the most amazing spirit artists that I've known.
And I also need to say, and I'm being reminded, is because they're showing me my painting in my kitchen where I've got your painting. So Elaine actually is an incredible artist, and obviously she channels it. And I have this beautiful painting that I've had for years, right? When you first
Oh, I
started
forgot
doing
about
it.
that.
Yeah, I know. They've just shown it to me and I've just been reminded. And it's just gorgeous, isn't it? And it's just like ethereal and it's got this little angel and everyone comments on it when they come into my house. So
Oh, do
I,
they?
I got that when you first started doing your paintings.
That was 2014. I had
Yeah.
a man. Oh, it's so strange because I've no idea how I met this man. I don't know
Well.
because I know Spirit again orchestrated. He was also Jonathan.
Oh,
He
yeah.
came into and he said he was going to find a way of coming to me, and of course I didn't see my Jonathan that day, but
Mm,
I did have the most wonderful experience. And he came all the way down from the north and sat in our circle, and he put us all into a relaxed state. And when I went into the relaxed state, I was told to walk along a marble path to the woods. Well, I did just that. And as I got there, there was an open wood, all enchanted and beautiful, with children playing. And to my left, there was a tree and the tree peeled away its bark, and the soul of the tree looked at me and smiled out of the tree. And then I turned to the right a bit, and this little girl said, "Come on." She took my hand. "Come on, come and play," she said. And then we had to go back. Well, I didn't want to go back. I wanted to
No.
stay there, you know. So that was beautiful. And after that, and a past life regression, this art started. I felt a Chinese man in the room with me when I was putting the washing away. I thought, "It's a Chinese man." He was like, really, I think he must be a highly evolved soul or something. I don't know why he
Yeah.
came to me, and he said, "You will be doing some art." I said, "Well, okay." And he said, "You'll need to get the things together." And I said, "Oh, I'm not very good at art. What am I going to do?" "Well, we'll help you." And then he just disappeared. He said, "You just go and get the things you want to use." And I
Hmm.
started off with chalk, pastel chalks.
Yeah.
Then I moved on to,
Paint.
decoupage and all that.
Yeah.
And then I moved on to acrylics and all sorts of things. So
I
I've
think
sort of,
mine was acrylics, right? I think mine's an acrylic
yes, I do
painting.
love
Yeah.
acrylics, and I've started to fall in love with watercolor.
Oh,
I
yeah,
watch people
that's
paint in
beautiful.
watercolor. I think, oh, they make it look easy, and when you try it, you think, I'm not so sure. But gotta
But
just not to
it's such
compare
a gift.
myself to
It's
others, and just do what I feel freely.
yeah.
But I'll show you
And,
one of the soul ones I did before we
and
start.
people can find you at elainethorpe.com, right? Is that right? I
That's
think.
right. Yeah, that's
Yes, it's
my
really easy.
website
Yeah.
that I work from. And Lucy is Tom's wife now, so she works with us and does
Amazing.
all this sort of.
Supports you, yeah, with
She
everything.
supports me. Yeah, she's good. She's lovely.
We
So
need a support. Oh, that's beautiful, isn't it? Wow. Yeah. So you can see, guys, when you're looking at this, you can see the beautiful energy in these paintings. I mean, wow. Yeah. Fabulous.
yeah,
Thanks,
I've
Elaine.
done a lot of
Yeah,
soul
I was
work.
being reminded of that. That's so funny. I was just being shown my painting, and then the guides were like, talk about that. So that's why I needed
Yeah,
to talk about
they're
that.
so clever, aren't they?
Yeah, I know.
They do help.
Oh, yeah, I know. I love that one. I love that one. Have you sold that one yet?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I do them on request mostly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I might just, do a painting that I feel I need to do, and then someone
Put it on
comes along
Facebook.
who was
Yeah.
ever meant to have it done with
Ah,
it.
so nice, aren't they? It's got the full spectrum, like the kind of ascension colours, a bit like my background.
It is actually. I love
Mm.
purple and lilac and
I
blue.
love these real look at that. Like, so the ascension
Yeah, the
colours, it's
same
yeah.
colours there. They're beautiful. That's a beautiful background you've got there.
Mm.
That's just stunning.
I've tried different ones, but this one just seems the right energy for now.
It does. It's
You
like
know.
intergalactic sort of, and
I
it's like a
know.
continuum, isn't it? It's just beautiful. And there's one with an
Oh
angel in it.
yeah. So gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They help me.
Well,
Unfortunately,
yeah. Well, we're the conduit, aren't we? We are we're the channel.
yeah,
So
that's
let's,
right.
oh, yeah, that's beautiful as well. Oh, I love the colours on that one.
Yeah, they're sort of some of
Gorgeous.
them. They bring out your kind of inner child in you.
Mm.
That's one of my favourites.
Oh yeah, wow. And that kind of really says it all, doesn't it? It's like that actually, we're this little human, but actually we are an
We're more than that.
incredible
Yeah,
soul, and we have all these beautiful beings that are around us at all times, and we don't ever have to worry that we're on our own.
yeah. That's what it's sort of telling you that
Yeah,
you're not alone. We're with you, and be reassured that we're here. There's
yeah.
more. I'll show you.
Oh, yeah, gorgeous.
I've done so
So you
many.
know how to get hold of Elaine, elainethorpe.com, but please don't go there just yet. Listen to Jonathan coming through, and there's a couple
Yeah.
couple of people on here, so that's great. So
Okay.
let's bring our friend through, and I'll have a lovely conversation with him, and anything that he feels is timely to share is important too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know YouTube doesn't like us using music. I like to go into it with music if I can, but you can put me on mute if you want.
Okay, yep, I'll do one sec. Let me just one sec, let me just do that quickly. And then do you want to just how will I know that you've come out?
Oh, you mean at the end?
Yeah, when you're in.
Yeah, I'll just he'll probably nod or something, or I'll open my eyes, so it won't take too long for me to come out. A couple of
All
minutes,
right.
and I'm done. All right.
All right, no problem. Yeah, brilliant. I'll just
So
mute you.
are you able to unmute me, or
Yeah.
yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
that's all right then, because I didn't get stuck on mute and then you couldn't.
No, I'll unmute you. I've got you. I got you.
Cool, that's all right then.
All right, everybody. So we'll just take a couple of moments.
Okay.
Thanks, Elaine.
Ready to mute it so the music can play?
I'm just wondering why it's not muting. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the sound right down. So that's
Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah, I'll do that. Okay.
Hello, my dear.
Hi, Jonathan. Good to see you again.
And you alike. I do enjoy coming to speak to the people of the earth.
Mm.
And if
And we're
there
very
are any
grateful.
questions, yes,
Yes.
I do not mind if you ask me questions.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for orchestrating this meeting, which I believe you did.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but maybe it's important that my community hear your message. And maybe because Spirit have been asking me to get out of the way as well recently to allow them to speak through me. And maybe I just needed to be reminded.
Of course, they are going to speak about the sort of scientific measures of the consciousness, so to speak.
Are they now?
Yes.
Okay. The
And how the energy centers work.
yes. So, Jonathan, we have been going through a great, incredible experience over the last 4 years, nearly. And many people have awakened to remembering that who they are really, a soul having a beautiful human choice of an experience. And there are many, even after that shock in the world and, seemingly a bad experience, there are many that are realizing now that it is the time to look outside of themselves for a different answer and look within for the answers to who they truly are.
Yes, that is correct. You couldn't have explained it better. And of course, your guides will also be helping with that.
Mm,
So I want to say that the awakening of the super consciousness is such a beautiful experience once you have experienced it.
mm,
In order to do that, it is believing in oneself, believing and knowing that you are more than what you think you are. The humanness around you is the overcoat for the soul to make the journey. So when it comes to free will, as I always say, it isn't the human that has the free will, it is the soul that has the free will, because it is the soul having the human experience, the journey. And it is the soul that leaves the body and goes back home after this journey. So the body is just going to dissipate, whereas the soul never does. It is eternal, it is infinite and multifaceted. So therefore, it will not dissipate. So the body, as so to speak, becomes the overcoat that you cast away, like the butterfly coming out of a cocoon. It is freed, and it is an array of colors and beauty and energy, and this super consciousness, which is the one that lives on. And so, therefore, what you think is where you are in heaven. You say it's the most glorious place. And what you think is what appears in front of you, so to speak. And it is the most wonderful experience because you are free and you have no pain or suffering. But if you want to be on this earth and you want to experience that beautiful awakening, some of you will have signs sent to you, numbers, that sort of thing. Butterflies and birds from your loved ones. There are
mm,
always going to be the most wonderful and the most clear of signs that you will receive from us, not only from your guides and your loved ones, but from your guardian angels.
mm.
So don't
Yeah,
be
it gives
afraid.
great comfort, I think, gives great
Yes,
great comfort to people. And Jonathan, there are lots of people leaving, Elaine and I have both spoken about this before you came in. And there are lots of people leaving this planet now. A question that I have is the ones that are leaving, and they're quite young quite often, they're quite young in their age in a human form. Why is it that many of them are leaving now? What is the reason for that?
the reason for that is because the whole world is experiencing a spiritual and an awakening of earthly sense and spiritual sense. So some experience a more spiritual awakening, and the others experience a more earthly truth awakening. So therefore, that means truth in everyone shall prevail, you see. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, your fears will be faced, and the truth shall raise within you. So therefore, that is part of your awakening. And you can only awaken if you realize that
Hi,
you
everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today,
just happened there, my dear. Are you in two places at once?
I'm in two places at once, but I'm back. There we go.
Wonderful, wonderful. I hope that they can hear me.
Yes,
So
thank you.
I want to say to you that these souls have chosen to go this way so that truth shall prevail. And they are some of them old souls that have been here many times, so they may choose particularly short existences in the human experience.
Yeah.
And their way of going back so early is to show truth to your earth. And that is the only way that it could come to your earth, because if it had not come to a halt, then nothing would have been discovered, and no truth would have been faced within anyone. It would have been, but in very sort of minuscule amounts. So therefore, I did mention in Elaine's group about the experience of the 2020 before it came around.
Yes, she said.
All those things, yes, I did. And one might say they didn't really know what I was talking about in the first instance. I also said that there would be mass passings. So therefore, it's all come to light. And there is more to come, of course, because the great awakening doesn't take 5 minutes, and the truth to be raised and I would say exposed in every single person, because your fears will be exposed to you. And of course, you face your deepest, darkest fears, some of you. And to overcome that can sometimes be somewhat difficult, and it's not going to be a 5-minute wonder, you see. So all of this is going to take time. And I do believe by around 2030, really it will have escalated, and people will really start to think, well, perhaps we all need to come together and sort things out. And perhaps we need to understand that we are meant to be here to free ourselves. We are meant to be here to love ourselves. And we're meant to be here to learn from negative to get to positive. We've gone through all of this negative. Now let's get to the more positive side of the outlook of life. Now have faced our fears, maybe we should overcome them. And that is the way that you will free yourself, by doing such a thing.
And when you say, I mean, obviously we have to be mindful of the words we use on a live stream on YouTube, and that's how it is in the earth plane at the moment. But when you think about, when you were talking about the truth, Elaine and I were sort of thinking about, many people at the moment who had perhaps made decisions that they might have regretted. And I think you know what I'm talking about. So, around about a couple of years ago, there was a decision to make. And that decision, you either chose that or you chose not to. And I think everyone listening to this channel will get what I'm talking about. And we've noticed between us, even though we don't really want to see this, that many people that chose the one way, let's say the red pill or the blue pill, right? That chose the one way, are actually having significant difficulties in their physical bodies, right? So many of them are passing over, including my dad, actually. My dad passed over, very, very quickly and suddenly after making a choice like that. And he's come to me and he has told me, that as soon as it happened, he felt it in his body and he knew that was it, instant. He knew he'd made a mistake. So is it a mistake, or is it a soul contract? Is it, when we're looking at all these,
It's a soul contract, yes. The soul decides every single bit of the life. And although parts of it may be particularly unpleasant and frightening in the ego human form, the soul knows the greater picture. So therefore, it's not that we want these sort of things to happen, but every soul chooses an exit point. And they have to have that exit point, because you cannot all stay here forever. And some choose the most perilous exit points.
Wow.
Very brave to choose these perilous exit points, and they are particularly frightened, perturbed about it, but they will always be loved and always be taken into the light. Some of them, if they have passed in a particular situation where a murder has taken place or torture
Yeah.
has taken place, then of course they are taken into the light. But having said that, some of them hang around until their funerals have taken place, or maybe they may come back and forth until justice is done because they want to help justice be done. So that may happen. And it is then that they move on truly into the light. And they're not in any sort of hellish position, they're never alone. But they may want to express that here is the truth and I shall help you find it, you see. So that sort of thing happens there. But when somebody is very unwell, it can be very frightening for them. They may worry that they pass alone.
Which a lot of them did. So, you know, during that time, 21,
You've
let's
never
say.
met alone with passing. When once you pass out of that physical body, you're free. And you're free to roam. Now, some come through the darkness and then come into the light, you see, because some of them call out, as you have heard with your near-death experiences, they call out to God, and then they are immediately uplifted into the light and woken.
True. Yeah, true.
Never left in
Yeah.
they're never left alone. You're not alone. So although you may be perceiving to be passing alone and you're found alone, or you are alone in that position that you had at that point in time, alone in passing, you're never alone.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just the human experience, isn't it? I was at a funeral.
On the ego side, you don't see
Mm.
the picture because you have amnesia.
I was at a funeral, which I now am going to call fun reels. Fun reel, a reel of life that is fun. So I'm going to rename funerals. But basically, I was at a funeral and I was like, I'm here. And it was kind of a surreal experience because obviously I already knew that the beautiful soul was there. I could see him. You know, he was chatting to me. So I knew that he'd passed over already and he was very happy and very, you know, and everyone was mourning, you know, this person and he was like really happy. So it was kind of a surreal experience going to a funeral.
Yes, it is a surreal experience. And the body is just a respect. It is respect for the person's life, and they want them to, you know,
Yeah.
if you have a person that has a leaving party, and they'll all get together, give that person a present, and they thank them from their employment. Well, it's the life is the employment, so to speak. It's the hardship that they've been through, the love that they have expressed for their families and friends and pets. So therefore, they give gratitude to that person.
Sure. Is there anything, you know, like people that are seriously unwell, like their bodies are breaking down? Is there anything, you know, this is the kind of work I do, Jonathan, right? So is there anything that we can do to help them, even though it was their sole contract to pass over? Is it possible to choose not to pass over at that time because they may have been guided towards
Well,
healing
that would be the
themselves?
soul's plan, you see. So sometimes you
See?
get these near-death experiences. They're not meant to stay there. They're meant to have an experience that they chose to get reminded of where they came from. Then they go back and tell everybody else, and that is their journey.
Yeah.
So the person is
Yeah.
going to be particularly, as an example, healed, and they don't go to the spirit world, but they are healed and have a miracle happen. Well, again, that is not the soul's exit point. It is a learning position. They have gone through that illness. They have conquered it. They have been saved, perhaps. Or perhaps a person has been saved from a serious accident. They come back and they're fine. You see, so near-death experiences and experiences of the depths of illness where they may be about to pass, but they pass. They had a miracle. And those miracles have happened. Yes. So
Yeah.
therefore, they can come back and tell of their experience, or they can say, well, oh, I was saved. You know, I'm going to, this will give me a second chance at life. But of course, the soul chose that. It chose that time as a point where it would turn around and say, well, that I've lived that experience in my life. Now I've had this miracle. I'm going to go on and be a better person because now I can appreciate that I have the fullness of life and
Yeah.
understand it, express that, and I can appreciate that I have my health so that I can live again.
Yeah, absolutely. So that, makes me think, and maybe other people that are listening to this makes us think, actually, we don't really need to worry too much about anything, do we? Because our soul has chosen the journey. So it's chosen the people that it wants to connect with. It's chosen the journey of where it's going to live in the world, where who are the people they're going to connect with, the choices they make, what they put in their body, what they choose not to put in their body. Really, all we need to do is relax into life and not have any fears or judgments of anything.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So when you come to judge these people and say, well, perhaps someone was a bit foolish doing that,
Mm.
just know it was their soul's decision, not the human decision.
Mm.
It was their soul's decision. They were meant to go in that direction in order to make an exit from this earth. And as I say, everyone has exit points.
Yeah. Is it possible, and this is a kind of a question for me, but for everybody really. So we do our healing work, Jonathan, right? And we work on ourselves and we release these perceptions and childhood traumas and so on. And I notice with that life gets better and better and better. Okay. So is that also a kind of predestined journey that we would go on that journey of releasing? Because some people never do that, right? Some people never go on that healing journey. So their soul would choose never to go on that healing journey and enhance their life. Is that right?
Well, one might say that, yes, everything is a choice, and if they chose not to go on that healing journey, maybe there is further learning in this entirety of life that they have to go through.
Ah,
And maybe
yeah.
they come back again in another life and have a completely different outlook.
Sure. So moving on, I was just kind of getting this sense to ask you this question. I get a sense that we're moving away from the old earth, and I kind of see it like an old earth, and we're moving into this new earth. How does spirit see that for us? How is
They
it?
see it as wonderful, you see, because of course there is always going to be negative and positive on the earth. It's like
Mm,
a battery. You cannot
mm,
put two pluses or two minuses in a battery. It won't work. So it has to
yeah,
have a certain amount of it in order for you to learn and grow. But if it gets to the greater depths of the negative, then there has to be an exit point from that. You see,
yeah,
so there has to be a quietening. There has to be this awakening. And I do believe that it will come about and you will learn to connect better with each other rather than create this partition, this awful partition that there is.
yeah,
We
yeah,
understand that the only reason that partition is created is through certain religions, certain cultures, and that sort of thing. But you've got to remember that in the end, you're all as one. You're all human beings. You just present things differently. You just live differently.
yeah, yeah. And that I think more and more people are waking up to understand that we are all one and that we're all souls having our own experience. In my book that I wrote, well, I channeled Awaken the Light Within Your Heart, there is a great section in it where it's called the Unified Light of Consciousness. And it's where spirit come through and speak about that. And I think more and more people are reading and understanding and going, wow, yeah, it makes sense because the soul recognizes that information, right?
Yes, that's
And yeah, and recognizes that we are all one and we're all part of this incredible experience, this unified field of consciousness. And it's our choice where we choose to go, what we choose to do in our life. And I think many people have feel that they need to do as they're told. And, when I think about, the governments and what we're told to do and what we're not told to do and what we should do. And I think a lot of people feel like they have to follow a particular way of being. And I've always believed that it's choice, freedom of choice, that you can be free to make your own choices. And do you see that as kind of transforming and changing soon? We're in 2024 at the moment.
yes. Well, with this super consciousness awakening in most, then your ideals of life and how you connect to things are going to be different. because what you're doing is peeling away the old layers of you. The old way is going to pass, because at one point, before all of this came about, Elaine went into a meditation where she was pulled up out of her, the consciousness was moved aside, so therefore she was right up in the universe, and she could see the earth. She could see it as a dark place,
Right.
and it looked pretty gloomy. But all of a sudden, light, and it shone so beautifully, so golden.
Mm.
For I was showing her that, it's not going to be like this forever. It is going to get better. And that was all around the world, you see. So therefore, a wound gets worse before it gets better. But if you nurse it, it gets better quicker.
And so, what message could we give to people of how to nurse it?
To love yourselves.
Mm.
To know that you are living your life. Be kind to others, yes. Be good to each other. But, sometimes humans will judge. But the main point of life is you going back to yourself. That's all it's ever going to be. It's only ever going to be you living your life, others living their lives. And you may not be on their path for long. You may only be meeting them very briefly. You may never see them again.
Yeah.
We try not to upset each other too deeply, but we understand that families, that unified friends and families and pets, you have your testing times with certain ones in your family, but they may not be on your path. You see, it doesn't mean to say that they are part of your soul group connection, that you're not going to take a different direction to them, because you all have different paths.
Yeah.
So it is about this consciousness awakening, and truth within yourself to face it. So you can learn to love yourself.
Mm.
That's the main point. You see, so that when you do make that exit from this world, you can look back and say, well, yes, I made that journey, and I learned to love myself. Now that has helped my soul to be elevated.
Yeah.
So they're all like these souls are like moths to the light. And if you notice a
Mhm.
moth, it will go to the brightest of lights. You see, and it will bump itself up against it. Is it to say, well, I want to become that light. I want to go into it. They don't realize it's so hot and they will get burned. But
Mhm.
looking at it from a spiritual point of view, that you won't get burned by the light. You'll only
Mm.
developed within it, as to the point where you don't need to keep reincarnating. You will perhaps do what I am doing, looking from the other side, you see, helping
Mhm.
people from the other side rather. And of course, your journey is still a continuum. You will still be moving further forward and progressing.
So thinking about the other beings, the galactics and so on that are coming to help us, why are they, helping us now in the way that they're doing it? Because they seem to be coming in a much higher vibration now and coming and working with me and other people. Why now are they
Well, they know
coming?
what's going on your earth, you see, and they know that you, in their eyes, you are faltering. They're trying to help you to bring back balance,
Mm,
equilibrium within life, rather than all of this animosity that you're all creating with each other. But it's all
yeah.
for the greater good in the end.
And how are they doing that? I mean, how are they coming in to do that?
They are, you see, what they're doing is trying to teach you how to attune yourself to your higher
Mm,
consciousness.
wow, that makes sense.
So therefore, life can only become more improved that way. See,
Mm,
you learn to connect your mind and heart with the universe and all. And that is not easy for the human being, you see, because they get into a point, whereas in childhood they have their innocence, but in adulthood they have responsibilities. And
yep.
they get a little too earthly, and they have to survive, and they forget about who they truly are, you see. And I know that is not going to pay the earthly bills, of course you have to work, but they completely sort of become complacent about who they are. So they need igniting, ignited with love, and awaken this beauty of who you are within.
Are we going to see them flying in the sky? Are we going to see these? Everyone calls them UFOs. Obviously, they're beautiful, beautiful beings. But are we going to see that? Are we going to see more of that?
Well, again, there is negative and positive within everything. So some of those beings would be negative, some would be positive, but the majority come to visit your Earth would be positive because they talk about abductions and that sort of thing. So some of these things are not always real.
Not always work. Not always work, Jonathan.
Not
Sorry.
always real. You see, some of them are made up, but
Yes.
others are, because you're not the only beings in this universe. You couldn't
Yes.
possibly be. But many, many light years and separate galaxies away from you are other beings. They could be living on a planet and existing just as you are here and progressing just as you are here, but in a different way.
Yeah.
They're more advanced in their connection to their higher consciousness. So therefore, they are able to permeate consciousness. And so the explanation of people not knowing where time has gone, you see, that's because something has permeated their consciousness and taken them elsewhere. So they've had a sort of an out of body experience, so to speak. It feels very lucid, very real.
Yeah.
So these beings are trying to help you to realize, well, you don't need to be arguing with one another. What you need to be doing is getting to the greater depth of who you are and connecting with each other. But it's going to take a long time, I'm afraid.
And what about this situation with physical money? So we obviously in this planet have physical money at this time.
Yes.
And many people are wondering, are we going to stop having physical money?
Well, I spoke about that again quite a while ago. That the money that you have now is not going to be forever. I know that you wouldn't want that, but everything is very much progressing and is technological with advancement of the human mind and the way it creates things, the way it becomes sort of creative to a point where it is an annoyance to others and an inconvenience to others. But if you look at our time and the changes that happened from then on, then we had to accept change. We had to accept it because it happens, because it is part of the progression of life, and things change. It doesn't always stay the same. It is continuum and keeps on advancing and advancing and advancing. So what you've got is quantum. They're already developing that quantum. So the quantum is energy, but also quantum computers. In the future, there could be one large quantum connected computer that would connect to your other computers as some sort of what you would see as a consciousness, but isn't. It is it's sort of
AI.
Yes, a marring of all different opinions and what everyone says over the world. Every thought that is typed into a computer is all collected, my dear. It's all collected. I wouldn't say so much in the private conversations, but what you see, what you do is all a collection. And of course, what they type into these things is what they're going to get back out of it, because the system stores it and then has a memory bank, so it can replay it. If you ask it a question, it could look to that memory bank and then it could give you the answer, you see, because you have typed it in, it has become stored there, and it can be recollected as an answer for a certain question that it can relate to. So that is why, and whatever you put into these things is whatever you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, absolutely.
Yes.
And there's a couple of comments on.
Yes, it doesn't have a consciousness of itself, it's non-existent, but it comes to a point where it can answer the questions, and it could become so advanced that it becomes quantum. It becomes just like an energy. It becomes that it can immediately find the answers, which it is already doing, but it'll way out advance that.
Can I ask about the physical body? Because I've noticed that the physical body is changing in the sense of, not needing as much food. Like we used to think we needed like 3 meals a day and things like that. And it seems that my body doesn't need that anymore. It doesn't need as much food as it used to. Is that because we're changing our frequency?
In a way, yes. Some people like to eat 3 times a day. It depends on whether you are You're hungry because sometimes when you think you are hungry, you're actually thirsty.
Yeah, exactly.
You need fluidity within the body.
Mm.
And so people think they are hungry just because they're bored, you see.
Mhm.
It comes to lunchtime and your energy has sort of become used up by whatever you have consumed at the early hours, and
Mm,
begin to get a little hungry, you may want a little snack or a lunch. You see, it depends, but you don't need to so much food. You need
mm.
something to curb the hunger, and that is it really. You
Yeah,
don't need to overload the body with all of this food because it's
yeah,
got to process that, it's got to digest it, and that is what becomes, I would say, overloading of the body. It becomes the obesity and all that sort of thing because it only can digest so much at any given time. So if you give it just an amount to curb the hunger, and then you don't want to overeat. See, and you say to yourself, well, I am beginning to feel a little empty, a little hungry now. I will eat something. Then when you've cured the hunger pang,
yeah,
anything else until you, then when you go to bed, you don't need to eat because the body's got to work on sleep, it's got to work on digesting that food as well, so the body remains active because it's working on digesting all of this food, but it's
yes.
trying to work on going to sleep as well, so it's got to all of these things to be concentrating on, and so therefore you perk up these sort of mild digestive issues. uh,
Mm,
you have just a warm drink, perhaps that is relaxing before you go to bed. That's perfectly well enough
mm,
the body to be able to finish digesting all that food, and it's not got all of this leftover food hanging around the body trying to eliminate it. You see, there's all these
mm,
problems. If you look at the Victorians, they didn't
mm.
overeat. They ate 3 meals a day, and they had what you call a high tea.
Yeah.
High tea would be what you see as your dinner, you see. But we would have a
Mm,
sausage or something light with a high tea. We didn't have a heavy meal at high tea. If you notice at those times, they had their meals at lunchtime, what you call a snack time, and
mm.
but we had the full meal. But you have become so, you would advance your bodies into thinking that the evening is the heavy meal time. So it takes some
Yes, that's a really good point. It really is.
digest. But
Yeah,
if you had a light tea of an evening, then you wouldn't have half of the problems with the weight that you've got or the digestive issues that you may have.
that's amazing, isn't it? How and so probably society and adverts and companies that make food have kind of like conditioned it into that we eat our dinner at night and we have a light snack. Yeah,
That's right.
no
It
more.
high tea, that's what we call it. See, so we'd all gather together and we'd have this light high tea may consist of sandwiches or crackers or things of that, that sort of thing, a snack.
Yeah.
We would not eat heavy meals at that time of the evening.
Wow, that's a
It's
really good. I think we
fine.
need to go back to the Victorian days of how we eat.
Yes, of course, there were overweight people then, but of
Yeah,
course, a lot of them had problems that they didn't realize they had and didn't get them looked to. So some
yeah,
of them had thyroid problems, but a lot of less of that was about. But
yeah, yeah.
most of them, what the Victorians suffered with were diseases more than anything else due to poor sanitation. But they didn't overeat.
Wow, it's amazing. I know because when you look at the photographs of the what we would call the olden days photographs, you never see anyone overweight. Like you just don't see them. You see,
There were the few, yes, there were the few that were overweight, my dear. They weren't all slim, but
uh,
most, the majority, let's say,
right, okay. Yeah, maybe the royalty were the ones that had a bit of weight on them.
recondition the body. It's just that your lives are so busy that you come home,
So,
you haven't had time to prepare a meal. So you get something that's it's not so healthy. You want everything there in
yeah.
front of you. So that is our advice to, if you want to go into trance, eat a light meal because the body is so full, you're uncomfortable. Eat lightly.
That definitely happens to me. Like if I go out for dinner or something, and I eat late, oh, I can't sleep as well because it lays heavy on my
That's right.
stomach.
That's
Definitely.
why half of the people don't sleep because the body, the brain is working to digest this food.
Mm, mm, mm. That's really good advice and good for everyone to remember, really. This is a funny, quirky question because I live in a Victorian house.
Um,
So on the coast in the southeast of England. I live in a Victorian house.
Victorian houses were built to face away from the sun. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Some of them like to keep their skin, youthful, and they believe that the sun would cause them, too much of it would cause them harm. So they built their houses so that they would be in the shade as well to avoid too much heat.
Wow. Yes. So my garden is south facing. So the garden gets the sun, but the front of the house only gets it very first thing in the morning.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So it stays cool. Yeah. And Victorian houses are cool, aren't they? They're quite cool in the sense of
Yes,
fresh.
they are. Yes. I had
Yeah.
noticed that some of them had made them into larger abodes by knocking things down and making an open area. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there still spirits in my home from the Victorian days? Are they still hanging around and
They do come in and out. Yes, they do come back. They don't particularly need these places because they have no desire to live in. But
Yeah.
they come back and see how you're getting along, how your world is advancing, and they like to perhaps see an old memory. They will come in and out. They're not coming to haunt you or anything like that.
No, I'm not worried about that. Yeah. I just wondered because my daughter says that she sometimes sees someone or hears someone, in her room. And
But that
she's
is
at the
a
back
lady.
of the house.
She's very friendly. She used to be a lady that lived in that house many years ago.
Ah, what was she? She lived here as
That's right.
a
Her name was Ethel.
Ethel.
That's right.
Ah,
You
Ethel.
could look up the history of the house and who has lived in there,
Yes, I could. I could. Wow, that's so amazing. It's amazing how I chose a Victorian house as well. So I think I probably have experiences of being in Victorian times. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. If you can relate to those times and you feel good around those times or not, there could be a time that you had lived there, not in that particular house, but
No.
in the Victorian times. Yes.
Yeah. And so where did you live? It was in London, was it?
Islington in London, my dear, yes.
Oh, I know it very well. I used to live in Islington in London.
Yes, I was born there at a place called Rose Cottages.
Oh,
If you
wow.
look back through the old roads, you will find Rose Cottages in Islington.
And was it near the park there? Was it near the main?
Not too far from it, yes.
Ah.
I do believe that areas of that may have been demolished to make way for other modern abodes, but of course, most of the old buildings in London do remain.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Countryside then, but you have built up upon it now.
Wow. So, Jonathan, I think we're coming to the end, but I just want you just to kind of share something that perhaps I haven't thought about asking that might help people in their lives at this time.
Well, to help them to understand, to believe that they are not only human, but they're powerful energy. It is not, I am greater than you or lesser than me. It's not of that nature. It is about how powerful your consciousness is, because that is absolutely limitless. And just try to understand that you are worthy of love, and you are coming from love, and you're going back to love, and you experience love in this lifetime. But do remember to look inside of you, because if you're going to love people around you, why would you not love yourself? Do love you. Do understand that you are worthy, and understand that you are a spirit being inside of that physical body that is beautiful, advanced, and knows the story of life, even if you don't.
Yeah, wow. Such beautiful words.
Yes, and talk to the universe, talk to God, talk to all of that, because you are heard.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you for coming in and sharing all this beautiful information with my community. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we will see you again very soon.
Of course. And I would say, I wish you luck in your spiritual endeavors.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be interesting if they're coming through to bring science and technology through me.
Certainly. So I will say God bless you all.
God bless you. Thank you. Let's just take a few seconds to come back, Elaine. You okay? Yeah. Come back to the real world. Oh, that was beautiful.
All the charge runs out.
Oh, yeah. That was beautiful. That was amazing. Amazing questions answered and lots of fun as well with it. So thank you so much for bringing Jonathan through.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. So let's just kind of close, but let's talk about how people, can people have one-on-one sessions with you to bring Jonathan through? They can have a reading with you, or a session, we might call it, rather than a reading. What else? Tell people how they can work with you if they choose.
Yeah, they can come through to book a reading on elainethorpe.com. I think it's Lucy does all the bookings, so you may think you're talking to me, but it's actually Lucy. You can type in your details, and then if she doesn't answer straight away, she sort of works her way through the waiting list, and then she'll get to you and book you in.
Yeah, so be patient. Be patient if you don't hear from Elaine.
Yeah,
okay, be
that's
patient.
all right.
Yeah.
I'm not ignoring you. So
Yeah.
if you want to look at the art, I have a Facebook page, Elaine Thorpe. That's my main page, but I also have Elaine Thorpe, trance medium and ethereal artist, spiritual artist. There is a page on there that's it's got quite a few followers, so Lucy keeps an eye on that one too.
Good.
And you can join on there and see the artwork I do and stuff, because I'm often posting on there. And we post our events on the demonstration events on the
Yeah.
website.
Have you got an event coming up shortly? Obviously, we're in the UK, so you guys that are in America, you can definitely have a reading with Elaine.
Yes, we
She
do put
work
that. We have a
internationally.
Patreon. We have a Patreon. So sometimes
Yeah.
people sort of subscribe to that Patreon, and that helps us just to do the traveling and the hotels and have equipment there
Yeah.
to make sure that people can see the shows that have sort of joined us on that Patreon, so it gives them sort of a first hand at it. And
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok as well under Elaine Thorpe Medium. I didn't know to join there, but my son put me on there, so that's pretty good.
Have you
So
got an event coming up, Lorraine? Have you, Elaine?
I have one in August. I think
Yeah.
that's at the church in Swanley. Let's just check that out. I don't want to hold you up or anything. Where are we?
Just thinking if anybody happens to be in the UK and they're watching and they're listening, and there might be an event. And these are group events where Jonathan will come through.
I put them on the page. I'll show you the page in a minute. Anyway, let's have a look. So we do have Zoom events, usually 3 or 4 times a month.
Excellent.
And you can join them and get a ticket. I think it's about £12, something like that.
Yeah.
They're the Zoom events, and you can book a
Excellent.
ticket.
Yeah.
And you can join us and ask your questions about, similar to what we've done today. And
Yeah.
type your name and details in there.
Excellent. So that's on your website.
That's right. Yeah, I've only got it on
Excellent.
the phone at the moment, but it probably
No,
would.
that's all right. That's all right. They can find everything on your website anyway, Elaine. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
really good.
they'll
Yeah.
find everything on there. So all the events will be on there because Lucy puts them up on there. I think it's a church in Swanley. I think it's sometime in August. I would have it on my calendar actually, just not the
Where
details.
is Swanley?
That's I think it's just by London, isn't it?
Okay, all right, okay, yeah.
August, because it will
But
have.
people can do the Zoom events anyway, because obviously quite a lot of my community is American, so they can do the Zoom events anyway.
Okay, they
And are
do have
they?
something on there. Oh, that's it. That's it. It's at Balham Spiritual Church in
Oh yeah,
London.
I know
It starts
exactly where
at
that
5
is.
o'clock. So if you want a ticket, you'd probably have to get in touch with them. The Balham Spiritualist Church in London. Trying to think of, yeah. So that, they have a website, I should imagine, that you can go to, or a Facebook
Amazing.
page under that name. So yeah, give it a go.
Oh,
I'll be there.
amazing. Oh, Elaine, well, thank you so much for your time and bringing our friend through and, just explaining everything. I think it's really helpful for people to see a different side of mediumship, really, essentially. Trance mediumship, I think, is really interesting for people to experience. So,
It's just people get to see who I am, they don't just
get to
get
see who you are.
to
Yeah,
they get to
exactly.
see both sides of what's going on.
Yeah, they get to see, you're a real person, you're down to earth, you're grounded, and then you bring through somebody, and your voice transforms into a man's voice, which ordinarily,
I was a bit
might
worried
seem,
about that at the beginning.
well, of
I just when
course,
you said you
yeah.
had to go out there, I thought, oh dear, what are people going to think? They're going to think I'm a woman, or that's. I do sometimes get those questions. Were you born a man? No, I wasn't.
Oh, do you? I never thought of that question, but that's wow.
Yeah, they did
Really?
say that, and I thought, oh dear, I don't. But obviously, I'm a woman. I come through and talk as a woman first. So I've had 2 children, given birth. So
Yeah.
that was what I
Yeah.
was very worried about when we first started. I thought, oh, what are people going to think? They're going to judge us,
Wow.
that sort of
Yeah.
thing. But
So
obviously,
now that's something that wasn't even a consideration,
well,
but I
no,
suppose,
you wouldn't think
yeah.
that because people that are spiritual would know, but people that haven't
Yeah.
experienced it, they don't always understand what's going on. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good then, isn't it? It's good for people to see that, you might be a man and you bring through a woman, or you might be a woman and you bring through a man,
that
or vice.
can't remember
Mm.
his name now. I haven't seen him on there in a while. And he was a man that brought through a perfect English voice of a woman. I thought, oh my
Oh,
goodness, that's
wow.
amazing.
Really? Yeah.
Once did he slip either back
No.
into the American accent. That's very difficult.
Yeah.
And I thought that's genuine. That's absolutely genuine. It's
Yeah.
beautiful to listen to.
What's his name?
I can't think. Do you know what? I've forgotten his name. I haven't watched him for
Oh,
years.
yeah.
If I do find him, I'll message you and let you know.
Message me. I can put it on the YouTube. I can put it on the notes. Yeah.
Yeah, put on the note.
Oh.
It's fabulous to listen to. I must find him again. Maybe Spirit will sort of bring it up on there so I can
If
find.
it's needed, yeah, they'll. I
Oh,
did say to
okay.
Jonathan, though, he
Yeah,
orchestrated it, and he kind of like chuckled, the kind of getting us together. Yeah, yeah, which was sweet, really
yeah.
sweet.
He's got a lovely personality.
Yeah, he
I
has.
would have over there as well, but
We were talking about the Victorian days as well a little bit.
yeah, yeah. I actually believe that my mother's friend Doreen, who they were friends for years, I believe that he said that she was an aunt to me in that life, and that
Oh,
she
wow.
brought me down from the north to help me to get work in London.
Oh, really? Wow.
And he said a lot of them used to come from the north to get work in London, to find work there.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
central, so it's quite amazing, really.
It's amazing and he was saying about, where he used to live in Islington. I used to live in Islington, and so,
Wow.
it was, yeah, literally. So I'll look it up. Rose Cottages. Have a
Yeah,
look it up.
I
Yeah,
found it
find
on
it.
the old roads. I thought, I'll look that place up
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I just didn't see a number of a house. It must have been a name of a place, but
yeah,
it's Rose Cottages,
yeah,
Islington. And I thought,
yeah.
oh, goodness, it
I know,
did.
it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
oh wow, that really did make my day. That did.
Well, I'm going to go now, and yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. We're going to thank Elaine for being here. Thank you so much for being here on my YouTube channel. I call this Conversations. with Susan, because basically it's just a conversation, and it's really fun. And I interview people and have people on here that I find will contribute to my community. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone that was listening in live, and let me know if you listened live or if you were listening to the replay, and please comment, and I'll share the comments with Elaine as well. So thank you so much, lots of love, and see you on the next YouTube. Much love, everybody. Bye for now.
Lovely to see you again. You take care. Thanks for having me.